Why are we doing this sequence, a sequence that involves looking at a scroll and reading a novel? Well, in part, it's just to give you some relief, to do something fun. And you'll see that this scroll and the novel go together to some extent. Both of them come from the mid-18th century in the Qing dynasty. The scroll is from around 1751. It was of the city of Suzhou. It's around 12 meters long. In fact, it's known as Prosperous Suzhou. And that's a good name for it because the city is prosperous. It was the most cultured and most prosperous city of the southeast, and the scroll is certainly showing you everything you would want to know about that prosperous city. It was done for a particular reason. The emperor had traveled south on his southern tour in 1751, and he was so impressed by the city of Suzhou that he ordered up a scroll showing the city. And this scroll you're going to be looking at was the result of that. It's a very intensive scroll. That is, it's filled with detail. There's something like 4,800 people in the scroll. I didn't do the counting, by the way. 2,000 architectural attributes, or 2,000 buildings. The novel, which is commonly known as The Scholars, might more properly be called The Unofficial History of the Confucians, the Rulin Weisher. It was set not so far away, in the city of Nanjing, formerly the southern capital of the Ming Dynasty, along the Yangtze River. It was written just a decade before the scroll was done, and it was done by a literatus himself, and who set the story in the Ming Dynasty rather than the Qing Dynasty. That sort of thing was fairly common, to take a story and put it in an earlier period so one avoided offending one's own times, perhaps. And it had its own focus, the literati and the examination system, or how literati lives revolved around the examination system. Now, there's a reason for us putting these two works together, besides that we want you to have fun. They come from the same period. They're from somewhat proximate places. We want you to look at them also because both of them claim, the painting and the novel, claim to be windows on social life. And they persuade us, when we look at them, when we read them, that this is how life was in the middle of the 18th century. In fact, and this is something to keep in mind as you look at them, they're interpretations. There's one man's view of what the city ought to look like, and one man's view of what society should be understood to be like. Still, these interpretations contain lots that had to be recognizable to their audience. And in that sense, because their audience can see them as real, can be persuaded by them, they do serve to some extent as a window on their times. Now, at this point, we're going to turn to the scroll, Prosperous Suzhou, and ask you to do a few things that will help you see more deeply into that scroll.